The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, declared an indefinite strike, which started, of course, today, Monday, the 3rd June 2024. The organized labor decided to embark on the Dutch after negotiations between them and the government over the new minimum wage of workers. It came to an impasse. The ongoing strike, no doubt, is affecting all the critical sectors of Nigeria's economy. And Nigeria Today will focus on the effect of the strike by the organized labor. Thanks for joining us. I am Ikaria Clinton. Welcome to Nigeria Today. Joining us in the studio tonight is a development economist, Dr. Emeka Okingwu. He's an economist. You're welcome to Nigeria Today. Okay. Now, also in the studio with us is Ahmed Abubakar Tunimu. He's a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me. Always a delight being here.
Now, I'll start with you, Dr. Emeka. The strike is on. Now, what does Nigeria stand to lose? In terms of Naira and Kobo, with this strike?
No, let's not talk about Naira and Kobo. That will be making it too elementary. Let's talk about the loss to families holistically, the loss to the country, okay, vis-a-vis health, vis-a-vis sanity, vis-a-vis logistics. And I start with something very, very elementary in the incubator. I want every Nigerian to cast his or her mind to babies that could be dying in incubators as we speak. And let's step away from incubators and go to mortuaries. Let's also cast our minds to bodies, okay, that are lifeless, that could be rotting as we speak now. And then let's go to labs, where you have tissues, cultures, and then let's go to people's homes. Let's go to refrigerators, okay, where you have people, because of these times and seasons, that had gathered all they had to be able to buy, things, perishables that have put inside their refrigerators. And then what could be happening to them physically, emotionally, and their states now. And then you can begin to now do a small aggregation of the loss vis-a-vis Naira and Kobo. Now, you will find out that it is unquantifiable. Let me also say that I am not against workers demanding, fair wage. But as a senior citizen, I would say to Labour, please, if whatever it is that they think they are doing, there are some critical areas that I feel, should not come onto that Labour purview. And one is just one I've described to you now, energy. Because energy security is one of the most critical securities that every and any country shouldn't joke with. Imagine what could be happening with this blackout. Okay, people are living in total and complete darkness. Imagine the security threats that could occasion if this now becomes obvious to these elements, criminal elements, that this is for real. There's no light, there's no power. People can't afford, to power their houses by any means. Imagine what will happen. And again, linking this power, to critical sectors of, imagine if our police and our army, joined in this strike. So I think that in going for this strike, we should do strikes with a human face. We shouldn't do things that will now begin to now, fight back and buy back at those we are supposed to be defending or protecting. So for me, strike is Labour's right, but I also think that as citizens, we also have some basic rights and demands too, that I think this is infringing. That would be my take.
Now, Tonibo, in Dr. Emeka's opening remark, of course, you heard that quite a lot of sectors have been affected. Now, there are some services have been suspended because of this strike. How will these suspension, or how will it affect Nigerians?
Thank you very much. I completely align myself with what Doctor has said, and I want to reiterate by giving more practical examples. If you go to the airports, especially the one in Abuja, the one in Port Harcourt, in Lagos, they have been shut down. So you know what this portends in terms of the projection we are painting the country. Then equally we got report that staff of banks equally are being chased out. So gradually the economy is gradually going to a halt, and already you know that the economy is doing well before now. So this will further exacerbate the whole situation. This is not time for blame game, but if you must attribute blame, I think the government is not very committed. The way they are so fast in removing fuel subsidy, the way they are so fast in bringing about the old national anthem. Why can't we
let's
look at it?
That area, the old national anthem. We're just talking about the the effects. Sure. How will it affect us?
It's affecting us negatively. Businesses are being shut down. A lot of businesses, even before now, they are just crumbling. They are crawling, trying to survive. Because if you look at it, on one hand, people's capacity in terms of purchasing power have been decimated greatly. People that could purchase fuel to power their generating plant, diesel to power now they cannot afford it. A lot of organizations, mass layoff, people are being sacked. So you wonder what the economic indices are palpable. We are seeing it all over. The cost of living is just astronomical, and if it continues like this, food security, energy security, they goes with the entirety of security concern. So you don't expect for the country to remain very peaceful when the indices, like we are playing a game of fire on a keg of gunpowder. You just need a trigger, and it can come from anywhere. So the government should do everything within its purview to see that this strike is averted. Already, the instrumentalities of taking them to court and using legal means has failed, obviously. So now it's time for action. I believe that if the government are committed, they will be able to do something to halt. Already the devastating effect is being felt everywhere. Even in the National Assembly, I believe must have had, they don't have water, the equally short. So you see, when we talk about leadership by example, our leaders should be able to have a face of empathy. They should be able to project what the average Nigerians are passing through, so that they will now reflect in their policies and decisions.
Thank you very much, Tony. Now back to you, Dr. Emeka. Just like you said in your earlier opening remark, there's quite a lot of areas that these strike, this strike has affected. Now, tell us, if you have to quantify it, financially, what would be the financial implication of these?
How do you quantify life? What value do you give? You want me to tell you 1 trillion? Okay, let us try to do some maths. Every woman in Nigeria, maybe let us say we have 100 million women who have gone to buy one basket of tomato for 10,000 naira, and 60% of it is lost. How much would that be? So you see, it's not everything you want to put in words. Okay, quantifying what has happened or what will happen going forward. This is just day one. And remember that this is not a warning strike. This is an indefinite strike. So they're saying we have dug in, against all, legal persuasions and documentations and appeals and whatever. They are not shifting ground. For me, I would have been more comfortable if this strike was all about, why are you not building more greenhouses for us to produce more food? Okay, we have given you a paper on how you can be able to save jobs and not increase salaries. Because no matter how you look at this, okay, we all live in this global village. By the time they agree on a price, there are going to be consequences. There are going to be their consequences. And the more you increase it, the more people's jobs are going to be at risk. This is the truth. And there's no moving away from that fact. But I'd have been more comfortable if this story was all about Lebanon saying, okay, government, we had agreed that you are going to ramp up, technology supported accelerated food production, programs across the regions. We are going to be accelerating these skills for job or whatever it is you want to do across the country. Let's make this program driven, because government says to you, if we pay you this money, we'll be requiring to be paying about 400 and something trillion, or 40 something trillion, or some ridiculous amount of money, either on a monthly basis or annually. We don't have this money. The way we are now, Nigeria as a country is not as vibrant, as credit-worthy, okay, as we used to be in the past. Just like every other person are struggling globally. I think that at this point in time now, this government labor thing should have been a meeting of minds, okay, and not you against us. Because ultimately, these workers you are fighting for are the ones that are suffering the most now. And I can tell you this for free. By the time you increase our salary, it happened during just the Udoji time. Yeah, a lot of you were much more younger. Just that Udoji increase caused some, inflationary, trend in the country. Now, what is going to happen is at the moment you increase this thing, and there is not enough foods in the market, the prices of foods right now, a tuber of yam is going for 7,000 naira. So by the time they think that people are now earning more, which, if you look at it pro rata, they're actually going to be earning less, because the value of your money is actually in its capacity to be able to get goods and services readily and steadily. It has to be sustainable. So point I'm trying to make you, Eucharia, is that don't even look at this thing as, and again, sorry, let me not take, because we have barrister here to also intervene. You have a population, a workforce in Nigeria of less than 2% of our total population. So if we are doing a strike to get worker salaries engaged, and then you're saying you're including the private sector, how many private sector establishments are still keeping staff?
Okay, Dr. Emeka, having said that, you talked about businesses. Now, I wanted to find out, how will this strike affect businesses in Nigeria? Talking about whether the large scale, the medium scale, or the small scale businesses.
If you're talking about a strike, okay, if I have to buy generator to run my business, if I am selling fish, for instance, I'm selling perishables, and I would need to buy fuel, and I can't get it from the filling station, and I need to buy it from the black market. If that thing in my fridge was worth 10 naira, you can be certain it to be worth 2,000, not 20 naira. Okay? Now, you can be certain that if you're living in where you can afford a house in Massacre or something, the cost of even moving from the hinterlands into town now has tripled just because of a strike. Okay, so when you talk about a strike, it bears no good fruits. I would have been more comfortable, like I said to you, if this demand was all about what we presented to you is that you have claimed that you have, X amount of people in the job market. Now, what are the programs you've put into place to be able to support businesses, the SBAs, okay, to be able to get back on their feet? You're not doing that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Now, Tanimu, there were some services, like people going to court case. People that have got. So how is it affecting?
It's affecting us negatively. Just when a part of the strike action, they've closed most of the courts. You cannot file processes. You see, when we talk about the effect, there are prisoners, there are people whose rights are being affected. You cannot file any action. You cannot file your processes. Everything is stagnated, and the ripple effect, as Dr. rightly pointed out, is on everyone. We are affected in one way or the other. For all Nigerians, strike is not the end game, but we have to look at it that there are certain things that needs to be done. The inflationary trend has been on for more than 10 years, that has been skyrocketing, and we are not seeing any concrete thing to that effect. So if you are saying even the amount that any worker is earning, both in the private and the public sector, for those of us that are in the service industry, our clients, they cannot, if they are incapacitated, they cannot even pay for the services that we render. So it means we have to find a way to downsize our staffers. It's affecting private sector, in fact, more. Because if we look at what is the total population of people that are gainfully employed by the federal and state government, they are not up to 20% of the population in terms of job. So you have a lot of challenges. Things are not it's unfortunate that this is coming at the eve or the anniversary of the government in power, but we expected much more. We believe if you are if you have innovative ideas, it should not be a one-sided approach. You should look at in terms of action and effect.
Now, back to you, Dr. Emeka. Should this strike continue? Because we are hoping that it will end in the shortest possible time. But should this strike continue, what would be the immediate impact on inflation?
Well, I hope we're still within the inflation range. I hope we have not gotten into stagflation. I just pray to God Almighty that we are still within the inflation ranges. Considering that what drives inflationary trends, okay, will be your cost of production. And if you look at the monetary policy, rates that have done everything to be able to manage inflationary trends. Now, with this everything is going to be spiraling out of control. And it is not starting and stopping a strike. It's like these power systems that we have shut down. It's not turn off and turn on a switch. The consequences of this shutdown, okay, will be very humongous. Okay, some of those turbines, could burn. A lot of things could happen. So it's not just something you wake up and say, okay, fine. You know what? Yeah, we had a good laugh. Go back and start your lives again. This is going to be destroying and ruining lives. Like I said to you, there are people who are taking the last they had, okay, to be able to stock up, believing that in the next 2-3 months of the rains, they have enough to be able to, pander. And this is gone in one day. So even if you call off the strike tomorrow, you're not going to be recalling those things that are lost. So you see, the cost of now restarting your life now becomes even, more difficult and costly. The emotional damage you've occasioned. This happened about 2:20 yesterday night. And the force, because my alarm came up and I said, no, this is not normal. More so when the estates around us now, all just went, So from 2 o'clock in the morning, those who thought NEPA were going to bring lights, now had to wait all day, before they now announced that they were the ones that took off the light. I don't mind you stopping every other thing, but this that impacts on everybody's life, what are you going to be telling those people that will be needing to sleep in the airports, like Tamini has said? They have checked out of their hotels, they can't fly, they can't go back, they don't have money, there's no place for them to stay. Now, they come by road, they get kidnapped, or they're accidental. They might not even have any money more to travel. Now, how do they deal with that trauma? Some of them are diabetic, they don't have their medications. Some of them are hypertensive, they don't have their medications. Some of them are emergency cases. They can't be able to keep their doctor's appointment. Like I said to you, some people are in incubators. Some people are on oxygen, systems. The hospital needs lights, like daylight. Nobody is considering that because we are all well and we're able to carry flags and walk the streets. And I'm saying to you, if this had happened against a plan to say to government, we have done our statistics. For us to be able to get to living wage, A, B, C, D has to happen. Now, government, set up this fund. Now, set up this program. Now, support this. Do this and do this. And let's move as many people as we can from the public sector into the private space. Then everybody would have been talking about how good it is. But to answer your question, even if that strike ended this night, the damage he has already created in the minds, hearts, and for those who want it. I had a young friend of mine who was in the office now relating this to the salary of a senator. And that narrative is so annoying. Okay? If you wanted to strike against the salaries of senators, for crying out aloud, make it an issue. Don't link the salary of a senator to the salary of a gate man or a security man or minimum wage. That is ridiculous.
Okay, Tanimu, some persons were, excluded from this strike, especially people that are writing, students that are writing exams. And do you also think it's important that certain sectors be excluded? Talking about the healthcare, how important will this be?
Absolutely. The healthcare, those in providing essential services, ordinarily they shouldn't be part of this strike. But what we have now is that the whole society is intertwined. If you have steady power and there's no water to go along with it, it will equally crumble the economy. If people cannot move from one place to the other, like those that have been trapped in the airport, it definitely will affect the economy. For the children that are writing exams, what teacher will be able to conduct and invigilate an examination when he knows that the perishable foodstuff that they have kept in the refrigerators, or they have sick ones in the hospital that cannot get the best of attention? It's devastating. The least that we ought to now agree on is that we have seen the impact. It's not beneficial to anybody, to the government. The Nigerian citizens will expect more. Before now, we've been complaining. A lot of people have been living from hand to mouth. The economy is so devastating. Now it has been exacerbated with this strike action. We only pray that we'll continue to have peace, but you don't expect an angry man, a hungry man, to be peaceful. That is what the government should focus more on.
Now, still talking, I want to look at the legal angle down. Now, a friend of mine we were discussing today, he said, look, that I'm not supposed to be affected because, of course, he's not a Nigerian, but he lives in Nigeria. I say, I'm not supposed to be affected by this strike. And if they off the light, of course, definitely, since they've shut down the light, it will affect me. So is there any kind of, will I say, is there any legal implication?
I think you might want to say remedy. Are we going to start suing the government collectively, individually? The answer is no. Our fundamental rights are not that enforceable to the context of expecting that essential services. In other climb, they could take the government up on it to say, because of your inaction, people have gone on strike and it has resulted into death, it has resulted into humongous losses. But our courts, we've not advanced to that level.
What
we
about
call have
the labor, the organized labor?
The organized labor, as you said, they are fragmented. They have different segments that constitute the labor leadership. In the media, you have the NUJ, you have NUT, we have JUSU. So all those little cluster associations, they equally have their own set goals and objectives. And in this case, all of them have been mobilized, and all of them have taken out drop-down tools, and that is why we are having this devastating effect that we are having.
Okay. We do hope that the strike will end soon, and of course we'll have a reason to smile again, and things will
I'll tell you this, for me, Tamini talked about allowing children to go to school. There's a lot of CBT tests being conducted now, the computer-based test. Are they going to be using Kandoo to do it? What are we talking about, really?
Thank you.
The people that are trying to shut down the country, is there any of their houses in darkness? Is the villa in darkness? No. Is the National Assembly in darkness? Is NTA in darkness?
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. At this point, to wrap up today's episode of Nigeria Today, a very big thank you to Dr. Emeka Okengo. He's a development economist. Thank you so much for your thoughts and your time.
Thank you very much.
And we had Tanimu Ahmed Abubakar. He's a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am Victoria Clinton. Goodbye.